What's good, everybody? It's your boy UncleSamsReject here, and welcome back to the channel, boys. And today, as you boys can see, we must be on the old game because Miami is the #1 team in the nation. You guys are here because you read the title. We're going back 20 years, and we're going to be simming from 2002 to present day. Seeing if we can rewrite history, seeing if some of the teams we all know and love today that are perennial powers can shine through and build their programs up to where they are today, or where these top 8 to 25 teams be the teams that we see at the top of the mountain for the whole entire sim. We're going to keep track of each school that wins the national championship, and at the end, we're going to tell you who has the most natties and who's the top school of the 20-year sim. So taking a look at this sim here, boys, like we said, Miami's the #1 team in the nation, followed by Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida State, Florida, Washington State, Oregon, Colorado, Nebraska, Washington, Ohio State, Georgia, Virginia Tech, LSU, Louisville, Marshall, Penn State, Michigan, South Carolina, Maryland, TAMU, Ole Miss, Michigan State, and Auburn. Not all that different from what we see, you know, in today's college landscape, except for maybe Maryland and Marshall. Louisville is up there sometimes here and there, so you know it's not gonna be nothing too crazy. Oh, another team we don't see often is Colorado or Nebraska, but for the most part, you know, teams are pretty much around where they are today. Oh, also, I can't forget the shit on Tennessee. So in case you guys were wondering, these are the real name rosters. So let's take a look at some of the best players in the nation back then. We got E.J. Henderson from Maryland, Mike Doss from Ohio State, William Joseph, Brett Williams. We got Rex Grossman, Roy Williams, the receiver. We got Dennis Weathersby, Byron Leftwich, you know what I mean? Dwayne White, Nathan Vasher, and Andrew Fort. We got Charles Rogers. So a lot of names that we would see in the NFL in the future, and some names that didn't quite do as well, like Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals, didn't necessarily play. We got Eli Manning here in his last year in college. He left after his redshirt junior year. Chris Sims, Phillip Rivers. You know, we got Casey Clausen, Seneca Wallace. You know what I mean? He used to be a poor man's Michael Vick. We got Carson Palmer, who's only 86. Brock Berlin. At running back, Lee Suggs, Ontario Smith, Bruce Perry, LeBrandon Tofield, Darren Dietrich, Cedric Benson, rest in peace, Quentin Griffin, Kevin Jones, Maweldi Moore, Dewan Hicks, Chris Brown, Anthony Davis, Ernest Graham, Dante Walker. Not really a crazy amount of running backs we've been seeing the next level, except for like Frank Gore, Carnell Williams, which means Ronnie Brown is here as well. Jabari Davis, that's a name I remember. Willis McGahee. At receiver, we see names like Roy Williams, Charles Rogers, Andre Johnson, Reggie Williams, Kelly Washington, Kareem Kelly, Brandon Lloyd, Taylor Jacobs, BJ Johnson, Rashawn Woods, Bernard Perrion, you know what I mean? Bernard Berrien, Lee Evans. Lee Evans is one of my favorite college wide receivers of all time. I don't know why. Mike Bush, Billy McCullen. We're seeing the likes of Anquan Bolden here. So, you know, it's a lot of good names, a lot of nostalgic names that we see here. Here's another name we're definitely going to highlight for me as a Cowboys fan. We got Jason Witten in the house. Top left tackle is Brett Williams from BumSU. Top guard is Montre Holland. Top center is going to be Brett Romberg. Top DN is going to be Dwayne White. Also down here, we see Terrell Suggs. See if we see some other names on this side of the ball. Andre Williams, Jerome McDougal. Ty Warren is a name I remember seeing. D tackle, we got William Joseph, Darnell Adakit, we got Jimmy Kennedy, some other names, Vince Wilfork, you know what I mean, Super Bowl winner from the U. Outside linebacker, we got Derek Johnson, DJ Williams, Kendall Pope, Dontario Thomas. Michael Boulware was the name we seen in the NFL for a long time. Boss Bailey, Champ Bailey's younger brother. We got E.J. Henderson at middle linebacker, Clifton Smith, Jonathan Vilma, Brady James, Daryl Smith, Solomon Bates, Angelo Crowell, Lawrence Flugents, probably said that wrong. Lance Briggs is in here as a senior his last year at Arizona. Brian Gamble was another name. Rod Davis. Some of the top corners: Dennis Weathersby, Nathan Vasher, Andre Wolford, Eugene Wilson, Marcus Trufant, Terrence Newman before he was a Cowboy, Christian Morton, Sammy Davis, Derek Strait, Dewan Gross, Roniel Whitaker, Ricky Manning. Free safety, we got Anthony Floyd, Terrence Holt, Brandon Everidge, Rasuli Webster. Don't remember seeing a lot of Ken Hamlin was in the NFL. Don't really remember seeing a lot of these dudes in the NFL for this free safety position. Probably if we go down here, we'll probably start to see some guys that we've seen in the NFL for some years. Odambi Asawa was a senior at Cal. They got him listed as free safety. We already know he ended up being like a wide nine, a good slot corner, good lockdown corner until he went to the Eagles and he went down the drain. Mike Doss, Troy Polamalu, Keon Walker, Keith Lewis, Bob Sanders. So Bob Sanders and Troy Polamalu, two names we would see and hear a lot throughout their careers in the NFL. Then, of course, the GOAT safety of all time, Sean Taylor, rest in peace. So here in the first couple seasons, as we get our groove, I'm gonna play it by ear. I usually will want to stop after like the midway point of each year and then go to the end of the year, to the end of the bowl season. But that might take forever. I'm okay with it taking long, but I don't want to waste too much time. So for the first year, we're going to see what it's like to sim all the way through the regular season, go over the stats, go over the award winners, look at who's going to be in the bowls, then sim the entire bowl season, see who wins the natty, and then move on to the next season. All right, boys, here we are at the end of regular season number 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rankings and the teams and who we have where. So Oklahoma is the number 1 team in the nation. Florida is the number 2 team in the nation. Miami drops to number 3 with 2 losses. Texas A&M is number 4 with 1 loss. Bum SU, Tennessee, Louisville, Ohio State, Washington, Colorado, Georgia, Maryland, Arkansas, Washington State, Marshall, USC, Utah, Nebraska, Southern Miss, Georgia Tech, Illinois, LSU, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Wisconsin. So as you guys can see, there's only 1 team that remained undefeated throughout the whole entire year. That is going to be the Oklahoma Sooners. I believe this is the year Jason White this is last year there. Yeah, so, 21 touchdowns, 15 picks. They got a decent runner, almost a 1,000-yard rusher, almost a 1,000-yard receiver. They got good defenders and everything like that. Their last win was versus Oklahoma State. They blew the hell out of them. Pause. Oh my God, that sounds crazy. 52-13. And as you can see here, they got buys, and this isn't going to be the way you guys are used to seeing college football. As you can see here, there are only 3 conference championships. There weren't a bunch of conference championships back then. You won your conference outright throughout the regular season, except for the MAC, the Big 12, and the SEC. All right, boys. So before we take a look at who won the conference championships, your Heisman Trophy winner this year is going to be Rex Grossman. He threw for 4,700 yards in 2002. That's a big deal, with 44 touchdowns. All right, boys. So the MAC championship, Marshall beats Toledo 45-35. Oklahoma blanks Colorado 59-0, and then Florida beats Arkansas 56-28. So take a look at the season awards really quickly. Rex Grossman is the Heisman winner. Offensive MVP, Rex Grossman. Best quarterback, Rex Grossman. Best running back, Ontario Smith. Best wide receiver, Kareem Kelly. Best O-lineman, Dante Ellington. Scott Shanley wins the defensive MVP. Best D-lineman goes to John Hickson of Air Force. Scott Shanley from Nebraska wins best linebacker. Best DB goes to Sean Seabrooks out of Rutgers. Jersey stand up. Best kicker goes to Luke Magnet. The coach of the year goes to Oklahoma's coach at 13-0. We're going to quickly go through these All-Americans. I'm not going to read them all. Go through here, see if you guys see your favorite team name. That's going to be first team All-Americans. Then here we are taking a look at the second team All-Americans. We see some key names that we can all expect to see up here, here and there. They don't have the freshman All-American. All right, boys, take a look at who led what. Rex Grossman had the best QBR, 163.1. Rex Grossman also led the nation in passing yards. Phillip Rivers was right behind him. Byron Leftwich is down here. Derek Anderson from Oregon State is on the list as well. Jared Lorenzen, hefty lefty, rest in peace. Rex Grossman also leads all passers with 44 touchdowns. David Green from Georgia is right behind him with 34. Jason Gesser with 33. 31 for Dave Ragone, and Byron Leftwich is the last QB to throw for 30 at 30. Rushing-wise, Ontario Smith is your leading rusher, 300 carries. 1750 yards, 5.8 yards a carry, 21 touchdowns. Lydell Ross from Ohio State had 20 touchdowns as well. Receiving leaders, Brian Peterson from NC State, Phillip Rivers receiver, 100 catches, 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns. Ryan McGuffey, 1,500 yards. Anton Page, 1,700 yards. You know how Texas Tech gives it up. Justin Gage, 1,500. Carlos Francois, 1,500. 16 for Reggie Williams. H.J. Adams with 1,368. Tackle leader this year is going to be Ryan Myers out of Akron with 136. Gerald Hayes is right behind him at 132. Sack leader is going to be Chris Browning with 14, tied with Charlie Dennis from Kansas. Pick leader is going to be Mike Lehan from Minnesota with 12. Dennis Weathersby is right behind him with 10. Anthony Floyd had 9. Taking a look at some of the notable bowls, we got Arkansas, Colorado in the Cotton Bowl. Gator Bowl is going to be Vatech versus Maryland. Capital One Bowl is going to be Michigan versus Tennessee. Rose Bowl is going to be USC versus Ohio State. Texas A&M versus Bum SU in the Sugar Bowl. Then the Orange Bowl is going to be Louisville versus Miami. And then the Natty is going to be Ohio versus Florida. All right, boys, so take a look at some of those top bowls. Colorado beats Arkansas. Vatech blows out Maryland. Tennessee blows out Michigan. USC blows out Ohio State. TAMU beats Bum SU by 4. Miami beats Louisville by 2 scores in the Orange Bowl. And I said Ohio in the Natty. I meant Oklahoma. But Oklahoma loses by 11 to Florida. So the bum-ass Gators are year one's champions. All right, boys, here we are, season number 2. Getting ready to find out what the landscape is looking like. Tennessee is your preseason #1, followed by Miami, BumSU, Oklahoma, Florida, TAMU, Washington State, Georgia, USC, Louisville, Maryland, Ohio State, Virginia Tech, Colorado, Nebraska, LSU, Washington, Marshall, Utah, Boise State, Illinois, Oregon, Arkansas, South Carolina, and Wisconsin. All right, boys, here #2 regular season is in the books, and you won't believe who's #1 in the nation. The Marshall Thundering Herd is 10-1, #1 in the nation. BumSU, Oklahoma State, Ohio State, and Miami all round out the rest of the top 5. Tech, Nebraska, Louisville, Kansas State, Maryland, Illinois, Arkansas, Fresno State, BYU, Texas, Washington, Penn State, USC, Tennessee, Stanford, Boston College, LSU, Georgia Tech, Auburn, and Boise State are the rest of the top 25. The bowl rankings look kind of the same, man. And Marshall, I want to know who Marshall played, bro. Their quarterback threw for 3,400 yards, 25 touchdowns, 5 picks, 700-yard rush on the ground. Hill is their best receiver. Coke has 89 tackles. They beat Ball, like they just had to come up off of other teams losing. Let's go ahead and take a look at their schedule real quick. All right, boys. So let's take a look at Marshall's schedule. They beat Troy State, well, you know, which is just known as Troy nowadays. They beat that. Oh wow, but Tennessee was #1 in the nation to start off the year. They beat Tennessee in a shocker, 50-36. They lost to LSU by 20. You know what I mean? But then it was smooth sailing after that. These were their 2 hardest games of the season. Buffalo got blown out, Kent State blown out, UCF blown out, Central Michigan blown out, Akron blown out, Miami of Ohio was a close game. I think Big Ben is there still. I'm not sure. Ohio State, Ball State, Northern Illinois is going to be in their conference championship game. Conference championships, Marshall versus Northern Illinois. Let's go ahead and simulate that game. Any upsets are brewing? Ooh, NIU was very, very close. Very, very close. This is crazy to see in the you know what I mean, in the early BCS era. You know what I mean, the non-BCS era. There's no BCS. This is crazy to see in the computer era that Marshall would still get this amount of votes. Nebraska versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma once again blows out their opponent in the Big 12 championship. That could propel them to the Natty. And then Arkansas taking on South Carolina. Nobody's ranked in that game, so it really doesn't hold that much weight. All right, boys. Jason White from Oklahoma wins the Heisman a year later than what he really did. 39 touchdowns, 3,800 yards. In case you guys were wondering, South Carolina did lose that SEC championship game. All right, boys. Season awards. We already know what's up. But Stan Hill from Marshall was up in the top 3. You know what I mean? He took over for Byron Leftwich and got these boys in the Natty. Jason White, offensive MVP. Best quarterback is going to be Jason White. Best running back is going to be Frank Gore. Best wide receiver, Rashawn Woods. Best lineman, Greg Wilson. Offensive MVP is going to be Antoine Poe. Defensive MVP, excuse me, from UCF. Best D lineman goes to Bobby LaFew from Louisville. Best linebacker is going to be Antoine Poe. Richard McNutt, Ohio State, best DB. Best kicker is going to be Xavier Batia. And then last but not least, coach of the year is going to be Oklahoma's coach once again, going 12-1 this year, 25-2 in total right now in this sim. Quickly going over to All-Americans, you know, the award winners are going to be the ones that win it and everything like that. See a lot of Oklahoma States, a lot of Nebraska, a lot of Ohio, you know what I mean? So we're seeing a lot of the same people. You know what I mean? I still can't believe Marshall did this well, bro. Jason Witten is a second-team All-American. Vince Wilfork is a second-team All-American. Sean Taylor, second-team All-American. All right, some notable bowl games. We got Stanford versus Texas. All right, notable bowl games. We got Stanford versus Texas in the Holiday Bowl. The Alamo Bowl is going to be Michigan State versus Kansas State. North Carolina Rice in the Queen City Bowl. Auburn, Ole Miss. Fresno State, Utah. Oregon, Michigan. BYU, Louisville. Arizona, Boise State. LSU, Georgia Tech. UNLV, USC. In the Orange Bowl, we got Miami, Virginia Tech. In the Orange Bowl, we got Miami, Virginia Tech. We got Georgia, Illinois in the Outback Bowl. Tennessee, Nebraska in the Cotton Bowl. Boston College, Maryland in the Gator Bowl. South Carolina, Penn State. Washington, Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Arkansas, Oklahoma. And then in the Natty, it's going to be #2, BumSU taking on #1, Marshall. I think we all know how this one ends. All right, boys. So Miami wins their bowl game in the Orange Bowl for the second straight year. Georgia beats Illinois. Nebraska beats Tennessee. Tennessee just fell off completely. Maryland blew out Boston College. Penn State beat South Carolina. Washington got blown out by Ohio State. Oklahoma lost to Arkansas. Florida State beat Marshall 23-0. So both of Miami's arch rivals, Florida and BumSU, both have natties in the first 2 seasons. All right, boys, here we are, season #3. And per usual, let's take a look at who the top teams are. We got Oklahoma, Ohio State, Florida State, Miami, Maryland, Tech, Marshall, Louisville, Arkansas, Kansas State, Texas, Nebraska, LSU, USC, Oregon State, Illinois, Penn State, Fresno State, BYU, Boise State, Tennessee, Florida, Texas A&M, Stanford, and Georgia. Now, what I'm most excited to see throughout this sim of 20 years, which team that we don't see up here a lot is going to be the team that recruits themselves into relevance. All right, boys, so the end of year number 3, take a look at these bowl rankings. USC is number 1, although they are number 2 in the nation. Flip-flop with Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Maryland, Clemson, Oklahoma, Virginia, Tennessee, Boston College, Nebraska, Texas Tech, BYU, Kansas State, Michigan. That's your 15, your top 15 in the bowl rankings, and the guys you're going to look for to try to make something shake. Once again, only 1 or 2 teams are going to be undefeated. Not a lot of undefeated teams, so not a lot of hard, tough decisions for the computers. You know what I mean, when it comes to choosing who's going to be at the top of the mountaintop. Conference championships don't really have an impact on the bowl season as much as they have in sims past. Bowling Green loses to Marshall. Marshall still a solid team, 11-2 after losing in the Natty last year. Nebraska taking on number 5 Texas. Nebraska's been pretty good throughout this whole entire sim so far. They lose by 14 to Texas. Then Auburn, Tennessee in the SEC championship. All right, boys, we got our first non-quarterback to win the Heisman. Lorenzo Booker, junior running back out of Florida State, 1,651 yards, 22 touchdowns, 5 yards a carry. Tennessee did beat Auburn in the SEC championship. And I want to take a look at something real quick if we can. This year's Natty is going to be the Orange Bowl. We got USC taking on Ohio State, Boston College, Tennessee in the Sugar Bowl, Texas, Clemson in the Fiesta Bowl. Rose Bowl is going to be Maryland, and then Rose Bowl is going to be Maryland and Oregon. Capital One Bowl, Auburn, Michigan. Virginia versus Virginia Tech in the Gator Bowl. That's pretty dope. Oklahoma taking on Ole Miss in the Cotton Bowl. All right, boys. So we do have some parity here in the sim so far. 3 seasons, 3 different national champions. USC loses to Ohio State by 10. Tennessee beats Boston College. Clemson gets blown out by Texas. Maryland beats Oregon. Auburn loses to Michigan. Virginia Tech beats Virginia. And Ole Miss loses to Oklahoma. All right, boys. Sim going well so far. Season number 4 is among us. Let's take a look at what we got here. Before we really look, Miami, my squad, bro, they're falling off, man. They're falling off. You know what I mean? On paper, they're not looking that good. Hopefully, the recruiting will shake back. Maybe I should have controlled a lesser team that really didn't have a chance at winning, and that way the computer could fully sim, but I got it simming. But Tennessee is preseason number 1 again. Oklahoma, Vatech, USC, or Ohio State, Texas, Maryland, Michigan, Louisville, Oregon, Florida, Nebraska, Texas Tech, Boston College, Marshall, Fresno State, Oregon State, BYU, Clemson, UCF, Miami, Florida State, Texas A&M, Colorado, and Ole Miss. All right, boys, we were just talking about how we wanted to see Miami shake back, and they did just that. No conference championship, so almost a shoe-in to go to the Natty. You got Oklahoma, Miami, Tennessee, Nebraska, Texas, Wisconsin, Arizona State, USC, Ohio State, Maryland, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Michigan, Notre Dame, Stanford are going to be a top 15 when it comes to the bowl rankings. Still no Alabama sightings, but, here in year 4, that puts us in, 2006? We're still a few years off from when Alabama became Alabama. All right, boys, so we got Tennessee taking on Ole Miss in the SEC championship. Let's go ahead and sim that first to see what happens. Tennessee does beat Ole Miss 29-10. Then we got Oklahoma taking on Nebraska. This is a very big game. Number 5 Nebraska beats number 1, Oklahoma. So we're going to see what really happens. Things are going to shake up a little bit when it comes to the Natty. Tennessee could be taking on Miami. And then Miami of Ohio is going to be taking on Toledo in the MAC championship, but we really don't care about that. Number 24 versus unranked, it ain't going to hit the same. All right, boys, this year's Heisman winner is the U-Zone, Mark Gillen. He threw for 3,500 yards, 38 touchdowns. What a season. In the Rose Bowl, which is going to be the Natty, number 1 Miami taking on number 2 Tennessee, 11-1 taking on 10-2. All right, so take a look at All-Americans. Of course, your Heisman winner is going to be an All-American. Penn State's got some guys. Miami's got some guys. Ole Miss has a guy. Nebraska, Notre Dame, Air Force, Colorado State, Ball State, SMU, Illinois, Southern Miss. I love seeing some of these other teams that aren't really number 1, or going to win a Natty or anything have All-Americans. It seems a lot more fair when it comes to the smaller schools in these older games that are true to life. Just because you go to a smaller school, it doesn't mean that your big season shouldn't be noticed. So, of course, we already know who won the Heisman Trophy. Mark Gillen. Offensive MVP goes to David Horn. Running back from Nebraska. Best quarterback goes to Mark Gillen. Best running back goes to David Horn. Best wide receiver, Ryan Moore from Miami. Akeem Jola finished top 5. Best offensive lineman is going to be Notre Dame's John Watts. Adam Ball from Notre Dame was defensive MVP. Best D lineman goes to Vaka Manupuna. probably saying that completely wrong, out of Colorado. Best linebacker, Jeff Harrison from SMU. Phil Pollard, best DB from Western Michigan. Best kicker, Derek Sweet. Coach of the year goes to Nebraska, 12-1 this year, which is kind of crazy because we went 11-1, but we're not here. This isn't a Miami sim. All right, boys, something I think I forgot to do the last couple seasons. Mark Gillen leads everybody in passer rating. Probably going to lead everybody in passing yards as well, as this game takes forever to show me who did what. No, he actually finished his second to Deion Cameron from Texas Tech, that air raid offense, but he only threw for 16 touchdowns and 20 picks. That's why we really don't care about what you did. The leading touchdown leader is probably going to be Gillen with 38 touchdowns. I don't really see anybody else throwing for more. Shoot is the next closest with 33. Rushing the ball, almost 2,000 yards by David Horn. That's why he won, running back of the year. Who scored the most touchdowns on the ground? Mike Gilliam out of Georgia. Come over here to the receiving side of things. Antoine Sharp led the nation in catches with 84. Victor Yu led the nation in yards with 1,300. And the most receiving touchdowns with the Ryan Moore from Miami with just 61 catches. So he made the most of his less catches to score the most in the nation. Tackle leader is going to be Rich Fox from Purdue, 130 tackles, 16 for loss, 4 sacks. Sack leader is going to be Tyrone Jackson out of Colorado State. Brian Atkinson out of Wake Forest is right behind him with 15. Pick leader is going to be Darren Howell from TCU, tied with Rob Soto from Southern Miss, and Glenn Sharp was a close second with 8. All right, boys, big games. We got the Orange Bowl, Wisconsin and Texas. Sugar Bowl is going to be Penn State, Oklahoma. USC versus Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl. Ole Miss versus Michigan in the Capital One Bowl. Gator Bowl, Notre Dame, Maryland. Cotton Bowl, Mississippi State, Colorado, South Carolina, Ohio State in the Outback Bowl. And then last but not least, and of course in the Natty, the Rose Bowl, we got the Miami Hurricanes taking on the Tennessee Volunteers. All right, boys, so in the Natty, Miami was unable to get it done. They lose by 2 scores to Tennessee. We almost had 3 out of the first 4 champions to be from the state of Florida, but Tennessee finally lived up to their hype, something they don't do in real life, and they got the job done here. LSU beat Virginia. Virginia Tech beat BYU. Ohio State blew out South Carolina. South Carolina keeps getting blown out in big games. Mississippi State beats Colorado. Notre Dame beats Maryland. Ole Miss upsets Michigan. And USC loses to Nebraska in OT. Penn State gets blown out by Oklahoma. Texas gets blown out by Wisconsin. Here we are, season number 5. 15 more to go after this, man. So coming in, taking a look at the top 25. Oklahoma, USC, Ohio State, Texas, Tennessee, Vatech, Miami, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Wisconsin. A lot of familiar faces. Maryland, LSU, Michigan, Louisville, Oregon, Mississippi State, Utah, Southern Miss, Penn State, Arizona State, Florida, Colorado, Arkansas, BYU, Marshall, making an appearance again, trying to get back to where they were a couple seasons ago. All right, boys, bowl rankings heading into that conference championship week. Ohio State, Tennessee, Maryland, USC, Louisville, LSU, Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Oregon, BYU, Rice, Fresno State, Georgia Tech, and Michigan. Notable game, here's the SEC Championship, LSU taking on Tennessee. Tennessee looking to repeat. They're undefeated here, and they win 68-62 with OT. What a game. I wish I could look at the true box score. That game looked like it was absolutely insane. All right, Heisman Trophy winner is going to be John Vuong, junior running back from Maryland, surprisingly. Almost 2,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 5.7 yards a carry. All right, boys, take a look at these All-Americans. Tennessee's quarterback, Tennessee's running back, Tennessee's fullback, and wide receiver are all first-team All-Americans. Probably going to have quite a few on defense as well. Their middle linebacker, and that's about it. Second-team All-Americans, Tennessee's left tackle, Tennessee's D tackles, both of them. No Tennessee DBs, but that's actually pretty impressive. I can't cap. All right, man. So we already know the Heisman Trophy winner, offensive MVP is going to be John Vuong as well. Best quarterback, Mike Collier from Tennessee. Best running back, John Vuong. Best wide receiver, Donnie Rice. Best outside linebacker, Lonnie Renato. Defensive MVP, John Ross from Marshall. Best D lineman is going to be Alvis Gallagher. Best linebacker is going to be John Ross from Marshall. Andre Rhodes from Marshall, best DB. Best kicker is going to be Tracy Hale. Coach of the year is going to be Tennessee's coach, going 13-0. Pretty much, was locked in once it was that. All right, boys, so season leaders, Mike Collier led all passers with 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns. But Gavin Dickey from Florida is right behind him, 36-19 with 37 touchdowns. Gavin Dickey led the nation in passing touchdowns. Porter was right behind. Andy Cross had 30. Collier had 30. Blaine Jones had 30. All right, so we already know Vuong led the nation in rushing yards with 1982. He had 26 touchdowns as well, so you already knew he was going to be leading there. Next closest was 18. So Adrian Osborne of Hawaii leads all receivers and catches with 91. 1,300 yards. Receiving yards leader is going to be Sean Welch from Virginia with 1,400. Receiving touchdown leader is going to be Donnie Rice from Florida. Next closest behind that 15 is Leonard White, Jason Schmidt, and Glenn Marks with 12. Oh, I can't forget Andre Christian. Charlie Wright is going to lead the nation in tackles with 126. Right behind him is Ryan Dalton with 124. Sack leader is going to be Russell Garza with 15, tied with Howard Scott. Pick leader is going to be Anthony Hill with 7, along with a whole bunch of other guys. But as you can see, the further along we get throughout the years, the more and more this seems like the nation is opening up and passing the ball. The Natty is going to be Ohio State and Tennessee. Both of these teams have already won a Natty, so whoever wins this game is going to be the first. So whoever wins this game is going to be the first multiple national championship winner. You got Colorado taking on Maryland in the Orange Bowl. You got USC, Texas in the Rose Bowl. LSU, Michigan, Capital One Bowl. Notre Dame, North Carolina in the Gator Bowl. Cotton Bowl, Florida, Oklahoma. Outback Bowl, Mississippi State, Illinois. All right, boys. So in the Natty, Ohio State blew Tennessee out 41-3. Both teams were undefeated going into the game. That's crazy. Tennessee did not have any answers for Ohio State. Maryland wins the Orange Bowl. Texas wins the Rose Bowl. Michigan loses the Capital One Bowl to LSU. Notre Dame blows out North Carolina. Florida beats Oklahoma. Mississippi State beats Illinois. And then Miami continues to win every bowl game they've ever been in, winning the Sugar Bowl. Well, no, they lost a Natty last year, so I guess that technically counts. All right, boys, here we are, year 6. We're at the end of year 6. We didn't take a look at the top 25 coming into the season, but we are going to do is look at the bowl rankings here for the end of the year. Penn State and Kansas State are your 2 undefeated teams at the top of the mountain right now. Maryland's 11-1, 10-1. Marshall is right back at it again. LSU, Ohio State, Texas, Tennessee, Rice, a team that nobody expects to see up here. Fresno State, Virginia Tech, Florida State, Florida, Illinois, Notre Dame, no Miami. You know what I mean? Take a look at the top 25. Like, can you believe that Kansas State is number 1 in the nation, bro? I mean, they had a few years, you know what I mean, when they had like Josh Freeman, I believe that was his name, or yeah, Josh Freeman was the quarterback's name, right? And they had like Darren Sproles, but that was a few years after where we are right now. Take a look at the conference championship games. Big game. I mean, this LSU Florida game ain't really a big game in the SEC championship, even though LSU takes that. They beat Florida. This is a bigger game. Oklahoma is known to blow out some of these teams. If they could upset Kansas State, they'll throw off the whole entire what's the name? The whole entire bowl rankings, but they're unable to get the job done. They come up short. And then Marshall, number 4 in the nation, they needed this loss in a blowout win probably against Toledo to really have a true chance to make it to the Natty. All right, boys, so your Heisman winner this year is going to be Marshall's quarterback, Jim Raymond, 3,700 yards, 41 touchdowns, 248 for 420 passing. Season awards, Heisman Trophy, of course, Jim Raymond. Offensive MVP is going to be Fred Grimes of Ohio State. Marshall's Jim Raymond wins best quarterback. Fred Grimes of Ohio State wins best running back. Best wide receiver is going to be Marshall's Skip Smith. 62 catches, 1,000 yards. I know 1,000 is 1,000, but 1,000 sounds crazy. 1,054 yards, 18 touchdowns. Best old lineman from Wake Forest, Edward Gilliam. Defensive MVP is going to be Jaquez Hood from Kansas State. Best D lineman is going to be Jaquez Hood. Best linebacker, Pat Gardner of UNC. Top Ballard from Kansas State going to be best DB. Best kicker is going to be Dez Alvarez from Oklahoma. And Kansas State wins Coach of the Year. It makes sense that Kansas State won a lot of these awards, you know what I mean? But with their defense being as tough as they are, you know what I mean? That's probably why they're winning games. All right, man, take a look at the passing leaders. We're going to go with yards first. I think Luke Raymond is probably going to be the one that leads. No, Deion Cameron from Texas Tech. Yo, hold on. We got to look at him because he's been here for the whole entire sim. This is his last year. 3,500 yards, 3,300 yards, 4,200 yards. He's been slinging the ball all over the place his whole entire time in college. Anthony Sandoval from Oklahoma's right behind him, just missing 4,000 yards. Passing touchdown leader is going to be Raymond from Marshall with 41. Scott Garner behind him is the next closest at 33. Rushing-wise, Matthew Payne of Wisconsin runs for 1,800 yards. He leads everybody, but he looks like he's going to fall behind for touchdowns. Tony McLean from Notre Dame has 24. Fred Grimes from Ohio State has 23. Receiving-wise, Craig Austin, for the second year in a row, leads the nation. Nope, that's wrong. Just another Hawaii receiver. 86 catches, 1,200 yards. But that's not going to lead everybody in receiving yards. That's going to be Blake Houston of Texas Tech. 1,600 yards, 22 yards a catch. And then when it comes to the touchdown leaders, it's going to be Skip Smith from Marshall with 18. Defensively, Defensively, Matt Haynes led everybody in tackles, 120, 22 for loss, 5 sacks. Sack leader is going to be Dan Van, tied with Jaquez Hood, Buffalo, and Kansas State. Your pick leader is going to be Andy Park and Michael Fry from Georgia Tech and Illinois. Oh, wait, John Anderson from Hawaii as well. So probably one of the more shocking natties in this whole entire sim so far. Kansas State beats Penn State 34-13. Let's take a look at some other notable bowls. Miami wins another bowl game. Oregon loses to Texas. Colorado loses to Wisconsin. Pitt gets shut out by Syracuse. Fresno State beats Arkansas. Illinois beats the shit out of USC. Rice beats South Carolina. South Carolina always gets the shit beat out of them. Southern Miss got blown out by Utah. Tennessee got blown out by Clemson. Michigan blew out Mississippi State. Oklahoma beat Georgia. That was a shootout. Notre Dame beats North Carolina. Bum SU gets blown out by Ohio State. UCLA loses to number 2 Maryland. Well, the in-stats, and LSU beats Virginia Tech by 7. Bum SU beats Marshall by 22. All right, boys, here we are, starting season 7, and after an unconventional natty winner last year, I gotta see what happens in the preseason of season number 7. Top 25 coming into this year is going to be Ohio State, Texas, Maryland even got a first place vote. LSU, Penn State, Marshall, Kansas State. They're both in the mix. Bum SU, Rice, Fresno State, Miami, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Michigan, Vatech, UCLA, Illinois, Wisconsin, SMU, Florida, Oregon, BYU, Boston College, and Colorado. All right, boys. So bowl rankings right now: Ohio State undefeated 12-0, Virginia Tech 11-1, SMU 1 loss, Texas 1 loss, Boston College, Kansas State even with 1 loss. They must have lost late at number 6. Tennessee, Oregon, Louisville, Maryland, Mississippi State. Okay, we got a new team immersion. Like they want to compete. Rice, Illinois, UNLV, another team I didn't expect to see, and BYU. Just found out we had a easier way to look at the bowl games. You can actually come to the bowl games tab and it will show you everything that you need to see. So this is how we'll take a look at some of the more notable January bowl games, man. This year, none of the conference championships really have any implications on the natty, so we're just going to go ahead and sim pass this week. Heisman Trophy winner William Jones, redshirt senior from Ohio State, 2156 yards, our first 2,000-yard rusher, I believe, in the whole entire sim so far. 20 touchdowns, 6.5 yards a carry. Season awards, we already know the Heisman. Offensive MVP is also going to be William Jones. Best quarterback is Rob Finley from Mississippi State, 4,000 yards, 39 touchdowns. William Jones is best running back. Best wide receiver is going to be Mississippi State's Martin Callahan. We have the best quarterback, you know what I mean, it helps. 71 catches, 1,400 yards, 16 touchdowns, 20-yard catch. And their other receiver is there as well, which is crazy. Just 512 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's favoritism, SEC bias. Best on lineman, Jamal Dunn. You know, when you had 52 pancakes this year, but when your running back is that good, you're going to get something. Ted Banks from Bowling Green is defensive MVP, 99 tackles, 8 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 picks. Best D lineman, Curtis Page from Auburn. Best linebacker is Ted Banks once again. Wayne Levine, however you say it. Best DB, UGA, 12 picks, 10 drop picks. Best kicker is going to be Bill McGowan from Kansas State. SMU gets Coach of the Year at 11-1. All right, boys. So the natty is going to be Ohio State versus Virginia Tech. Sugar Bowl, Mississippi State versus Maryland. Fiesta Bowl, Tennessee versus Kansas State. Rose Bowl, Oregon versus SMU. Florida versus Illinois in the Capital One. Gator Bowls, Boston College, Clemson. The Outback Bowl, Ole Miss in Iowa. Cotton Bowl, Georgia and Texas. San Francisco Bowl is where you're going to see Miami. They've been in that bowl a lot, and they've only lost 1 bowl game, and that was the natty. All right, boys. So Ohio State wins yet another natty. If I'm not mistaken, that's 3. We're gonna re-go over everything at the end. No, you know, we haven't had many close games in the natty. Sugar Bowl, Maryland beats Mississippi State. Tennessee wins the Fiesta Bowl. Rose Bowl, Oregon squeaks away with a 3-point win. Citrus Bowl, that definitely says, okay. I was calling it the Capital One Bowl. Same shit. Citrus Bowl, Florida beats Illinois. Boston College beats Clemson. Iowa beats Ole Miss. Texas beats Georgia. Miami beats UNLV. LSU, North Carolina. That looked like it could have been a pretty good game. So season 7 in the books. Ohio State, for sure, off the top of my head, is the only team with multiple natties. All right, boys. Season number 8. Let's see what kind of craziness this brings. The top 25. We're not going to read every individual name. It kind of looks the same for the most part. Got some other teams that, you know, are coming through. We still have not spotted Bama emerging as any type of threat in anything. They haven't come out of the SEC. They haven't won the SEC championship. So, you know, we're definitely going to find a new Bama throughout this sim. I'm just wondering who it is, and I'm hoping it's not Ohio State because I hate them. All right, boys, year 8 is in the books. Let's take a look at the bowl rankings right now. Maryland 12-0, number 1 in the nation. Virginia Tech 12-0, number 1 in the nation. That's absolutely crazy to see. Tennessee goes 10-1, 11-1 Texas Longhorns, 11-1 Ohio State, 11-1 Texas Tech, 10-2 Boston College. Louisville lost 1 game, USC lost 1 game, LSU lost 1 game, Colorado lost 2, Michigan lost 2, Penn State lost 2, Utah State is in the freaking top 15 of the bowl rankings, number 16 in the nation. I mean, this was the year. This was the year. Like, it's crazy back then how one loss used to really, really hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Unless everybody else lost. But if you got 2 teams that are undefeated, it's pretty much a lock. All right, boys. End of the season, UNLV's running back wins the Heisman. 1,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5.5 yards a carry. Definitely don't expect to see that by any means. So we already know Mike Jenkins won the Heisman. He also wins offensive MVP. Jackie Fuller from Maryland wins best quarterback. Jenkins, of course, naturally is going to win the best running back. Best wide receiver, LSU's Leonard Jennings. Pretty solid season. Casey Gordon, best O-lineman. Defensive MVP, Victor Hopper from Texas. Eric Shelton is the best D lineman. Victor Hopper is the best linebacker. 6 picks, 10 sacks. That's crazy. Best DB, Hunter Waters with 9 picks, 1 touchdown. Took 1 back to the crib. Best kicker, Jason Porter of Miami. Coach of the year is Virginia Tech's coach. I was about to try to say a name, but it does not exist. All right, boys. So Virginia Tech did beat Maryland in the Natty. They played in another bowl game earlier in the sim. Virginia Tech is in the DMV, but, Virginia and Maryland right there for them to play against each other. That's pretty cool, but Virginia Tech gets it done. Texas Tech wins the Orange Bowl. USC wins the Sugar Bowl. Texas wins the Fiesta Bowl. Michigan wins the Citrus Bowl. The Gator Bowl goes to Boston College. Outback Bowl goes to Mississippi State. Cotton Bowl goes to Florida. Notre Dame wins the San Francisco Bowl. Peach Bowl goes to Arkansas. All right, boys, so one thing here in the offseason I never thought to do, it really slipped my mind. Let's check the top classes here for recruiting. You know what I mean? To see how some of these teams are reshaping and retooling. Texas is the number 1 class in the nation with 9 5-stars, 4 4-stars. Virginia Tech reshapes and retools after winning the Natty, 8 5-stars, 5 4-stars. BYU, who just went 11-2, 6 5-stars, 6 5-stars for Colorado, 5 for Ohio State, 4 for Florida, 14 4-stars for Wisconsin. Let's see what a team like Bama's doing. Because when is Bama going to become the Bama that we know and love? That's the one thing about these sims. You never know what team is going to really become those guys. Bama, this is a different Bama than we know and love. 5-7, 4-4 in the SEC. 5 3-stars, 7 2-stars, 5 1-stars. They need a lot of help. The number 1 recruit in the nation is quarterback Edwin Hatfield, and he signs with Oregon. Let's take a look at the top player at every position. Running back is going to be William Johnson. He goes to Virginia Tech. Wide receiver is going to be Ike Stanton. He goes to Ohio State. Mike Livingston seems to be the only tight end in the top 100, goes to Tennessee. The top left tackle in the nation, Ernie Melton, goes to Texas. Top right tackle goes to Texas Tech. Top right guard goes to what the fuck? The top guard, 5-star Alex Sargent, goes to Kent State. The top left guard goes to Texas Tech. Top center, only center in the top 100, goes to Michigan. Top right end, I should say, goes to UGA. Top left end goes to Mississippi State. Top D tackle goes to Nebraska. The top outside linebacker goes to Ohio State. The top left outside linebacker goes to Ohio State. Top middle linebacker goes to Nebraska. Top corners, we're going to do, Colorado got 2 of the top corners. 3 of the top corners. They got the number 1 corner, the number 2 corner, and then they also got the number 7 corner. Damn, that's crazy. Top free safety goes to Tennessee. Top strong safety goes to UCLA. There's no kicker in the top 100, but there's a top punter, and he goes to Indiana. All right, boys, we're almost halfway through this sim here in year number 9. We took a look at some of the top recruiting classes in the nation. Let's take a look at the top 25. Like we always say, man, not a lot of teams are changing. BYU, after that recruiting class, I kind of expect them to be up there. That's kind of insane, man. Utah State is in the mix. Marshall's back in the mix again. Colorado, SMU, Wisconsin, Southern Miss. Like this back like third of the top 25 is always what interests me the most, because one of those teams always emerges up victorious. One of the things I wish they had in here while we were doing this sim is like a preseason All-American, preseason Heisman watch, but those types of things weren't in these older games yet. All right, boys, bowl rankings, and our guys, the Miami Hurricanes, are up at the top of the list. LSU is number 2. But I think they're going to be in the SEC Championship. Maryland, Utah, Michigan, Tennessee, Illinois, Florida, Virginia Tech, Penn State, USC, Kansas State, Georgia, Ohio State, and Rice. Rice ain't going nowhere. They keep finding their ways onto the top 25 on them bowl rankings, man. All right, so LSU was number 2 on the bowl ranking, but number 3 in the nation. They will be taking on number 5 Tennessee. I don't remember where Tennessee was on the ranking, so let's see how this game pans out. LSU gets the dub 31-27. None of these other games matter for much other than saying we won our conference. Heisman winner Bobby Livingston from Maryland. If I'm not mistaken, that's their second Heisman winner. Just 1,200 yards, 19 touchdowns. That's a pretty low bar compared to what we've seen from some of the past Heisman winners. And the Natty is going to be number 1 Miami, 12-0, taking on 12-1 number 3 LSU. So for some of you guys that weren't alive or weren't, you know what I'm saying, around in this crazy wild computer era, stuff like this happen all the time. You could be number 2 in the nation like Maryland and miss the Natty. You could be number 1 in the nation on the coaches poll and miss the Natty. LSU with 1 loss is ahead of Miami just because their comp average is higher and their schedule rank is lower. If I'm not mistaken, lower is better. I could be wrong. Poll average is higher than theirs, and they have 1 more quality win than Miami, which gives them less points. The less points on the total is better. Kind of nuts when you think about it, but you know, Miami has to finish the job and come out here and win a natty. They've been there before and they've lost. You know what I'm saying? So there it is. The Fiesta Bowls, the Natty this year, the Orange Bowl, Michigan and Maryland, Kansas State, Utah in the Sugar Bowl, Rose Bowl, USC and Penn State, Citrus Bowl, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Gator Bowl, NC State, Tech, Outback Bowl, Illinois, Arkansas, Cotton Bowl, Texas Tech, and Florida. I almost called them Florida A&M, but I hate both of those teams equally. But we already know the Heisman winner. Offensive MVP is also Bobby Livingston. Best quarterback, George Underwood from Marshall. Marshall has really been out here getting to it in this sim. Bobby Livingston, best running back. Mike Duran, best wide receiver. Best O-lineman, Mike Adams from North Texas. North Texas is a team that's always good. Always good in sims, bro. Even in the newer NCAAs. Best defensive MVP is going to be LSU's linebacker, Tyrone Merritt. Best D lineman, Todd Daniel. Best linebacker, Tyrone Merritt. Best DB, Deion Bonner from SMU. Ron Bender, best kicker. And Miami gets Coach of the Year with a perfect 12-0. All right, boys, so I'm not going to act like I'm happy to say the Miami Hurricanes have finally won a natty here in year number 9, 13-0. They won this game 38-21. Let's go ahead to the bowl results and look at the rest of the scores. Maryland won the Sugar Bowl. Maryland won the Orange Bowl. Kansas State won the Sugar Bowl. Penn State wins the Rose Bowl. Tennessee wins the Citrus Bowl. Gator Bowl goes to V-Tech. The Illini win the Outback Bowl. Texas Tech beat the hell out of Florida in the Cotton Bowl. That's crazy. 56-16. That's nuts. All right, boys. So the final NILs have been submitted. Tennessee has the top recruiting class in the nation, 9 5-stars, 4 for Michigan, but 11 4-stars. BYU retools again, bro. They're going to be good in a few years. 6 5-stars. What the fuck is a store? 6 5-stars, 6 4-stars. Miami has 6 5-stars, 6 4-stars, 2 3-stars. LSU has a good class. Boston College, Oregon, Rice. Marshall has a pretty good class. Maryland, Texas Tech, Georgia, Penn State. It's a lot of people getting some good recruiting classes. UTEP. Where's Bama again? I'm gonna keep checking in on Bama, bro, because I want to see if they can turn it around, dog. Hopefully, I passed them. Hopefully, Bama's not way down here. Alabama has a top 100 class, but they go 3-8, 2-6, 8 2-stars, 8 1-star. They're probably never going to be what we know and love in current day once we get to the 2020s. All right, boys, here we are, year number 10. That puts us in 2012. You know what I'm saying? The year I graduated basic training in the Army. Preseason, Miami is number 1, Tennessee is number 2, LSU number 3, Maryland, Illinois, Utah, Michigan, Virginia Tech, Kansas State, Penn State, Ohio State, BYU, USC, Florida, Rice, Notre Dame, Oregon, Southern Miss, Georgia, Marshall, Boston College, North Texas, North Carolina, UNLV, and UTEP. All right, man, season 10 in the books. Bowl rankings looking crazy. Maryland and Rice are your top 2 teams. Virginia Tech is right behind them. North Texas is number 4. I told you they always end up being super dope. Boston College, UNLV, Georgia, LSU, Ohio State, Michigan, Kent State, Miami, Texas Tech, USC, and Texas, bro. I love these sims because shit gets crazy. We're going to skip the conference championships this year just because they have no implications on the Natty, and the Natty is one of the more important parts of what we do here. But you see here, LSU won, Colorado won, and Toledo won. All right, man, so Georgia's Chuck Mosley is going to be the Heisman winner. Threw for almost 4,000 yards, 35 touchdowns. Miami, we're not here for that shit. Your Natty is going to be the Rice Owls versus Maryland. This is like Maryland's second or third time being in the Natty. They haven't won one yet, but I think this might be the year. Fiesta Bowl, LSU, Colorado. Orange Bowl, North Texas, Virginia Tech. Rose Bowl, SC versus Penn State. Citrus Bowl, Georgia, Ohio State. Gator Bowl, Miami, UNC. Mississippi State, Illinois, and the Outback Bowl. Cotton Bowl, Texas Tech, Tennessee. Peach Bowl, Georgia, Utah. Notre Dame, New Mexico, and the San Francisco Bowl. But this is what I was talking about, bro. Virginia Tech is number 2 in the nation, but they won't make the Natty. You know what I'm saying? Which is going to be kind of crazy, but it's probably on when they actually lost their game. Rice might have lost them at the beginning of the year. Maryland went undefeated. Season awards, Chuck Mosley won the Heisman. He wins offensive MVP. He also wins best quarterback. Kurt Klein from Michigan wins best running back. Freddie Gonzalez from Texas Tech, best wide receiver. Leonard Hurley, best O-lineman from Kansas State. Defensive MVP, Chris Lott from Tulsa. Best D-lineman, Andy Washington from Purdue. Best linebacker is going to be Chris Lott from Tulsa. Tyrone Allen wins best DB. Pete McCarthy wins best kicker from Ohio State. And Maryland's coach at 12-0 wins the coach of the year. All right, boys. So remember when we said Maryland has been here before and they can't get it done? Rice blows Maryland out 40-9. The Rice Owls are your BCS national champs, dog. What the is going on, bro? LSU beats Colorado. North Texas gets shut out by Virginia Tech. USC loses to Penn State. Ohio State beats Georgia. Tennessee beats Texas Tech, and Mississippi State blows out Illinois. Notre Dame loses to New Mexico. What the hell? Florida beats Utah. UNLV beats Southern Miss. SMU beat Auburn 76-0 in a bowl game, dog. All right, boys, top recruiting classes in the nation. Virginia Tech, 9 5-stars, 1 4-star, 4 3-stars, and 1 1-star. Middle Tennessee State went 10-2. They got 7 5-stars. See, this is NIL money before NIL money was a thing. 7 5-stars, 5 4-stars. Maryland 8-3, LSU 8-3, 4-8 for Boston College, 7-4-2 from Miami. Texas had a good class. Florida, Colorado, good top 25, man. Texas Tech with another good class. Is Alabama ever going to become Alabama? Because that's the one thing about Alabama. I remember when Alabama was shitty. I remember when they were ass, when they were trash, when they wasn't nothing. And then they got Nick Saban. He started spending a bunch of money. They do go up, though, from 94 to 88. 13 1-stars. Alabama has had to recruit 13 1-stars on their damn team, bro. All right, boys. So since we are officially halfway through this sim in the 20 years that we need to get through, let's do a quick recap of all the past Natty winners so we could know who's in the league. All right, boys. Here we are, year 11, officially across the halfway threshold of this 20-year sim, and I have the list of all the Natty winners right here. All right, so year 1 goes to Florida, year 2 goes to Florida State, year 3 Ohio State, year 4 Tennessee, year 5 Ohio State, year 6 Kansas State, year 7 Ohio State, year 8 Virginia Tech, year 9 the U, year 10 Rice. So Ohio State right now is the only school to have multiple national championships so far throughout this sim. All right, boys, here we are at the end of regular season, season number 11, man. The only conference championship game that has any implications on what could happen with the Natty is this Texas and Nebraska game. Texas gets the win 28-20, so we won't really have any real controversy when it comes to the games. That's the only downfall about playing some of the older games. I wish you could expand things and everything like that, but TCU's running back Lewis Miles wins the Heisman Trophy, almost 1,800 yards rushing, 16 touchdowns. We're getting later in the sim, so we're just gonna not speed through things to make it less enjoyable, but speed through things because we don't need to go through every nook and cranny. I don't want this video to be super duper duper long, but Lewis Miles wins the Heisman. He wins the offensive MVP. Best quarterback goes to the Gators quarterback Marquise Doherty. Best running back Lewis Miles. Best wide receiver Cortez Blake from Mississippi State. Best O-lineman is Rice's O-lineman Shannon Tillman. Brian Wynn from Wisconsin wins defensive MVP. Best D-lineman Luke Dunn from Iowa State. Brian Wynn from Wisconsin wins the best linebacker. Best DB Corey Bender. Cornell Wilson from Middle Tennessee State is the best kicker. Coach of the year goes to Texas. They are 13-0. Bowl rankings, we got a real surprise. It's probably going to be a blowout. Texas and Middle Tennessee State are going to be in the Natty. Miami just misses out, number 4 in the nation, but number 3 in the bowl ranking. Middle Tennessee State strength of schedule was crazy. I mean, I would love to take a look at it, but let's go ahead and take a look at the bowl games. Middle Tennessee State did have a top recruiting class like a couple years ago, so we already know who's in the Natty. It's the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, UNC and Tennessee, Fiesta Bowl, Miami and Virginia Tech, Rose Bowl. So basically, it's a rematch. So basically, this is a Big East championship. Even though Miami just beat Virginia Tech like the second to last week, Rose Bowl, SC in Michigan, Citrus Bowl, Mississippi State, Ohio State, Gator Bowl, Pitt in Maryland, Outback Bowl, Florida and Penn State, Cotton Bowl, Georgia and Nebraska, San Francisco Bowl, December 31st, but it still looks to have 2 good teams in it. So does the Peach Bowl, Liberty Bowl. So you got some pretty good games all around. The good thing about this Natty, we'll get a first-time champion out of this because neither Texas nor Middle Tennessee State has won a Natty here. So I'm loving the parody of the Sims. Bit my tongue of the Sims, even though Ohio State did win 3 already. And if you guys are enjoying this video, man, don't forget to stomp and smash that like button and hit me with a subscription. It's free of charge. It's a good way to support the channel, and we'll do plenty of more videos like this. I have a lot of things in the tuck, and Texas does get the Natty here, beating Middle Tennessee State 31-20. Miami loses to Virginia Tech this time around, so they both finish 11-2. Some more of the notable games: TCU beats Utah, Fresno State loses to LSU, BYU beats Boston College, Maryland blanks Pitt, Ohio State beats the shit out of Mississippi State, SC beats Michigan, North Carolina and Tennessee had a great game. All right, boys, here we are, year number 12. We did skip the top recruiting classes. Let's go and jump into this top 25. Miami's number 1, Virginia Tech, Ohio State, Maryland. Texas is your top 5. North Texas right there, SMU, USC, UNLV, Middle Tennessee State, Colorado, Southern Miss, Kent State is in the mix now. Remember, they did get like a 5-star a couple years ago. TCU, Texas Tech, Rice won a Natty a couple seasons ago. Bowling Green is up there. All right, boys, so here we are at the end of another season. Texas Tech gets, I believe, 2nd or 3rd Heisman of the series, but we got our very first 5,000-yard passer in Ike Coffey, 5,086 yards, 34 touchdowns. All right, boys, so as you guys probably guessed, there's only going to be one 5,000-yard passer, and Ike Coffey is that guy. Next closest guy is 3,600 yards. He also threw for 34 touchdowns, which I'm going to go on a limb and say is the lead as well. It takes a while for me to see. Yes, 34 is the lead. And when Hatfield is right behind him, we've yet to check this. What quarterback throws the most picks in the country? You know what I mean? That's probably going to be pretty bad. The least amount is Ryan Chapman from Miami with just 17-3. But who threw the most? Who was that quarterback? Or was just like, they shouldn't be throwing the ball that much? That one is going to be Andre Clemens of USF, 17 touchdowns to 25 picks. All right, rushing wise, yards leader is going to be Pete Gill, 1,538, 12 touchdowns. That touchdown leader is going to be Alonzo Collins from Bowling Green, they were supposed to be pretty decent this year. Yards per carry, never really checked that either. That's going to be, game takes forever. It is an old game. It's going to be Pete Gill with 5.8, tied with Deion Strickland from LSU. Receiving wise, top reception getter in the nation is Keenan Jones of Houston with 89. Top yards is probably going to be Steve McLean from Florida. It is. Top yards per catch, probably going to be Steve McLean, 19.8. Is that the one? With a decent amount of catches, yes, it is 19.8. And the touchdown leader is going to be Kevin Rivera with 15 from UNC, not out of UNC. Defensively, Derek Ryan from USF led everybody in tackles, 129, 21 for loss. Mark Chambers of Texas Tech leads everybody in sacks, with Tywa Ike Hopkins of UL Lafayette. Pick leader Andre Lynn of Virginia Tech with 10. Dusty Olson of Middle Tennessee State had 9. OJ English had 9 for San Jose State. We got another surprising national championship opponent in SMU. They will be taking on Ohio State. Ohio State couldn't win Natty number 4. Please, I hope that isn't true. I do not want them to win 4 freaking national championships, because then nobody's probably going to catch them. Orange Bowl, Notre Dame, UNC, LSU, Kansas State, Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Oregon, Virginia Tech, Florida, Wisconsin, and Capital One, Citrus Bowl, Gator Bowl, Pitt, and Maryland, Georgia, Illinois, and the Outback Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Texas Tech, and Tennessee. Because you're the only 10 I see, huh? All right, boys, so SMU falls just short, losing by 3 to Ohio State in the Natty. That's Natty number 4 for Ohio State. These dudes, they haven't been here in a minute, I feel like, but every time they're here, they win it. Notre Dame beats North Carolina. Miami won their bowl game 45-5. How do you even score 5 in football? I mean, I know how, but like it shouldn't happen. Kansas State beat LSU. Virginia Tech got blown out by Oregon. Florida beat Wisconsin. Pitt got blown out by Maryland. Texas Tech got blown out by Tennessee. Even with a quarterback who threw for 5,000 yards this season, looks like he didn't throw for that many yards against Tennessee. All right, boys, take a look at the top classes going in to season number 13. The national champion and the runner-up both have the top recruiting classes in the nation. 12 and 10 5-stars, 22 5-stars between the two. Bowling Green, North Texas have 6 5-stars. I mean, what is that? What in the absolute is going on, bro? Like, teams you've never seen before, just like, they got to be paying these dudes money, bro. I need somebody to call and tell on them to the NCAA because they're breaking the rules. In 2023, there was no NIL. In 2003, not 2023. Shut up. Season number 13 is here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look at what the top 25 looks like in this landscape. LSU number 1, North Texas number 2, Ohio State, SMU, BYU, UTEP, Southern Miss. I said those in reverse order. Bowling Green, Illinois, Rice, UCLA. Man, this is not the college football landscape we expected in year 13. You know what I mean? But it's fun. I'm loving what we're seeing. All right, boys. Bowl rankings after season 13. 3 Texas teams are on top of everything. TCU, SMU, Texas A&M. I don't think any of these teams play. Well, I think Texas A&M is playing the conference championship, but I think SMU and TCU are off the hook. Ohio State, Oregon, Florida State, USC, Tennessee, Virginia Tech, Georgia, Illinois, LSU, Southern Miss, UTEP, and Rice, bro. It's a lot of Texas teams up here, which is actually kind of nuts. So as you can see here, Texas A&M plays Colorado, and they're undefeated. I think they would have to absolutely beat the hell out of Colorado to even have a chance. And they don't. They only win by 3. 23-20 is your final score. All right, boys. So Jermaine Blevins, quarterback from Florida, wins the Natty, 4,000 passing yards, 31 touchdowns. The Natty is definitely TCU versus SMU, which is nuts. Orange Bowl is going to be UNC and Texas A&M. Miami, Mississippi State in the Sugar Bowl. USC, Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Capital One Bowl, Wisconsin, Florida, Notre Dame, Maryland in the Gator Bowl. LSU, Penn State in the Outback Bowl. Cotton Bowl, Tennessee, Texas Tech. I feel like that was the exact same Cotton Bowl last season. Yeah, it definitely was. All right, so Jermaine Blevins won the Heisman. Offensive MVP goes to Ray McMillan out of Ohio State, though. Best quarterback, Jermaine Blevins. Ray McMillan, best running back. Best wide receiver, Steve McClain. Keyshawn Burns, best outside line. Keyshawn Burns, best lineman from SMU. Earl Rollins, defensive MVP from Mississippi State. Mike Maynard, best D lineman from SC. Casey Nash, best linebacker. Gerald Dixon, best DB from Florida. Best kicker, Adrian McCullough from ULL. Coach of the year goes to Texas A&M coach, and they're not in the Natty. TCU and SMU. TCU second, SMU not even on there. That's insane. All right, boys. So SMU in the Natty back-to-back years. This year they brought it home. They defeat TCU 38-24. North Carolina blows out Texas A&M. USC beats Ohio State. Florida beats Wisconsin. Maryland beats Notre Dame. Texas Tech gets the revenge on Tennessee and blows them out this year. OT win for Penn State over LSU. Miami beats Mississippi State in the Sugar Bowl. All right, boys. Year 14. Some wild things have happened so far throughout this whole entire sim. Ohio State's back to being number 1. SMU and Rice are in the top 5 to start the, the preseason. Kent State is up there. North Texas, Middle Tennessee State, BYU, you name it, bro. It's some wild teams up here, dog. And still no other, like Mississippi State is like the surprising SEC team that has emerged to be like, a front runner to kind of compete for some things. But Bama and all those teams, they can't get off the ground when it comes to recruiting. So in this world, in this, alternative universe, Alabama just never gets good. They never get that Nick Saban. All right, boys, end of season number 4, regular season, and without even looking at who's in the conference championships, I'm a little nervous to see who the top 25 teams are, bro. Bowl rankings, USC, a team we're used to seeing. Middle Tennessee State is number 2, though. Utah is right there at 12-0. We got 3 undefeated teams at the top, and of course, right now Utah is the odd man out. That happened to them a lot. IRL, but they're number 2 in the nation in the coaches poll. Middle Tennessee State is number 3, and Middle Tennessee State is going to get that number 2 spot over another team again. They did that at Virginia Tech as well. Miami's number 7, just missing out at number 5. Rice is number 4, It's crazy to see these teams that's out here that are good, bro. Like, this is insane to me. I love to see it. SMU had another good year, but they're 9-2, so they're going to miss out. Any bowl implications here in the conference championships? None at all. All right, boys. Illinois with the Heisman winner. 1,300 yards, 24 touchdowns. That's a lot of touchdowns on the ground, bro. All right, we're just going to pay attention to the BCS bowl games. Middle Tennessee State versus USC. I fully expect Middle Tennessee State to get blown out. Fiesta Bowl, LSU, Kansas State. Orange Bowl, Miami, Utah. Rose Bowl, UNC in Michigan. So, yeah, those are the ones we're going to focus on there. Come over here to player stats. Let's check out these season awards. So Ian Sampson wins the Heisman as just a sophomore at that. Offensive MVP as well. Best quarterback Ed Sutton, LSU. Best running back, naturally the Heisman winner. Best wide receiver Bubba Santiago. Can I say this though? On NCAA 14, you can win the Heisman and not win the best at your position. It bugs me out, bro. It never makes sense to me. Glad it's not like that here. It's not like that here. Bubba Santiago, wide receiver, Texas Tech, 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns. Best O-lineman, Virginia Tech. Best defensive MVP, Rashawn Barron, Oregon. Maryland gets the best D lineman. And Antoine Sanders, best linebacker. Antonio Hill, best DB. David Price, best kicker. Coach of the year, Utah Utes, and they're not even going to make it to the national championship. Hopefully, Miami can get the job done and bump them off. All right, boys, so Miami actually loses this year's Orange Bowl. That sucks, but we're not here for that. Who won the Natty? USC narrowly escaped 28-23. LSU blew out Kansas State. Michigan blew out North Carolina. Mississippi State loses to Ohio State. Virginia Tech beats Maryland. They've been playing each other a lot in this shit. SMU blows out Georgia. Who would have thought we've ever seen a world? Rice blows out Navy. Boise State got shut out by Northern Illinois. Real quick, let's go to the SEC, bro. Let's see where Alabama did. Alabama 4-8, 4-4 in the conference. They're down there with Vandy and Kentucky, bro. Oh my goodness, that's some nasty, nasty stuff. Tennessee and LSU like the top teams right now. Mississippi State, Georgia, and Florida have been around, but Florida hasn't really been like a factor since they won it like in year 1 or 2. All right, boys. So one thing I'm very thoroughly intrigued in is how recruiting is playing with some of these other teams becoming top programs. USC still leads in recruiting 11 5-stars, 6 4-stars. Illinois has a good recruiting class. Utah gets 10 4-stars. Middle Tennessee State, SMU, top 5 recruiting classes. Like, in what world does that even freaking make sense, dog? Like, that's insane. Ohio State, good class. Tennessee, good class. UConn, wow, UConn got 11 4-stars. They haven't even been good. 8-4, but they just found a way to make some things shake. Looks like they stayed close to home with those recruits as well. You know, actually see some other teams, Miami top 25, Wisconsin, Iowa, UTEP, Buffalo. Like, it's some teams emerging out of nowhere that, you know, just because they're not battling for a natty, we don't really know how good they're doing. And then Rice had another 11-1 season. You know what I mean? This is nuts, bro. Like, I'm really intrigued. Army had a good recruiting class. UNLV, like, damn, yo, man, we're almost done with this sim, and like, I'm still being blown away. All right, boys, season 15. Here we are, 6 more seasons, including this one. Take a look at the top 25. I'm not even gonna look at the teams we're used to seeing. North Texas, SMU, Rice, Middle Tennessee, Miami. Well, hell, Miami. We ain't really been ranked that high in a long time. Southern Miss, Tennessee, Fresno State, Boise State, Buffalo, Mississippi State, Texas. Kent State keeps being in the preseason top 25, bro. Like, this is nuts to me, dog. I ain't even gonna hold you. These dudes being ranked this high, like, year in. It's not even just like fluke stuff. It's like year in and year out, these dudes are ranked this high, bro. Like, this is impressive, dog. This is fun to see, dog. Like, this is crazy to me. And I plan on doing this with more NCAAs as well. You know what I mean? Going back 10 years, going back blah, blah, blah years, going back blah, blah, blah years. You know what I mean? Going, you know, or you guys will give me, you know what I mean, ideas in the comment section down below as well. And if, again, man, if you guys are new around here and you love all things college football, this is the place for you to be. My name is UncleSamsReject. We do dynasties, we do RTGs, we do challenges, you name it, we do it. You know what I mean? And hopefully you guys are enjoying today's video. And do me a favor, man, if you guys made it this far in the video, not if you skipped to this part, if you watched the whole video to this point, give me a 5 in the chat right now. All right, boys, end of season number 15, Warren Vuong from Wisconsin, 1,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5.5 yards a carry, wins the Heisman. Running backs have been dominating the Heisman for some time, but it's only been running backs and quarterbacks, no receivers. Bowl rankings, Ohio State, North Texas looks to be the natty. SMU just misses out at number 3 in the nation. Yo, these dudes are like a perennial power, bro. They have proved to be like those guys. Like, look at this top 5. Ohio State, okay, that's normal. North Texas, SMU, Illinois, Southern Miss. That's the top. That's the other 4 teams in the top 5, bro. That's nuts. You don't really expect to see that, man. And all these teams were undefeated, bro. 5 undefeated teams. 5 undefeated teams. 6 with Oregon. So you got teams that are undefeated finishing this low in the top 25. I mean, the top 15 for bowl rankings. It's nuts. All right, the Natty, North Texas, Ohio State, Sugar Bowl, UNC, Tennessee, Fiesta Bowl, Vatech, Texas, Rose Bowl, Oregon, Illinois. Vuong wins the Heisman. Vuong wins Offensive MVP. Mike Smith from SMU wins Best Quarterback, 36 touchdowns, 6 picks. That's a hell of a ratio. Warren Vuong wins Best Running Back. Roland Hester wins Best Receiver. Joe Henderson wins Best Offensive Lineman. Rich Richard wins Defensive MVP. Rich Richard wins the defensive. That sounds like a D lineman. Ike Jones, Best Linebacker. Ole Miss. Xavier Francis. UL Monroe, Best DB. 7 picks, 15 pass breakups, 1 pick 6. Eric Hall, Best Kicker. Oregon wins the Coach of the Year. They stay giving the Coach of the Year to the niggas that's not making it to the Natty. All right, top quarterback in the nation, we already know is going to be Mike Smith. Top running back in the nation is going to be Lance Stark from Colorado, but that's really just leading in carries. No, that's a lie. He ran for 1,900 yards, 20 touchdowns. How the hell did he get beat out by Vuong? That's really not adding up. He had more yards per carry, same amount of touchdowns. I mean, in Colorado, I don't think was half bad this year. That's actually nuts. That's a snub. Mitch Lowe, best receiver in catches, 85 catches, up 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns. Hester had 14. That's why he won the Biletnikoff. Most tackles is going to be Higgins with 147. I'm actually sorting these sacks. Rich Richard. Picks 9 by Lawyer Wilkerson. All right, boys. SMU blows out San Jose State in their bowl. That's like disrespectful that they were in a humanitarian bowl at number 2 in the nation just because they're not in a big conference. Let's take a look at some other notable games. Well, the most notable game, the Natty, Ohio State won in overtime versus North Texas. That's 5 national championships for Ohio State. I know I have quite a few Ohio State fans that watch my channel. Suck it. You guys suck. But hearing this film, y'all are amazing. North Carolina wins in OT. Virginia Tech beats Texas. Oregon beats Illinois. Ole Miss gets blown out by Wisconsin. All right, boys. Here we are. End of season number 16. We skipped all the preseason stuff. Take a look at what the bowl rankings are looking like. Ohio State, North Texas are the top 2 teams. North Texas has been, I told y'all, man, before North Texas was even like this, I told y'all they end up being one of those teams. Fresno State is another team up here. Southern Miss, Memphis, UTEP, Texas Tech trying to sneak in there. No BCS national title implications in the conference championship game. So we're gonna go ahead and skip those, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some stats. All right, boys. Texas Tech wins another Heisman. They've won a few, man. And another 5,000-yard passing quarterback, 5,157 yards and 43 touchdowns. Our rest of the season awards: Terrell Rutledge wins Heisman Trophy. Probably gonna win Offensive MVP and Best Quarterback. He does. Best running back, Travis Schultz out of Ohio State. Kevin Vance, best receiver. Best O-lineman, Stephen Casey. Des Hartman, best defensive MVP. What the hell is a best MVP? Devin Gibbs of Memphis, best D lineman. Paul Todd from Texas Tech, best linebacker. Joey Hickman out of UGA, best DB, best kicker. Paul Newman from Texas Tech, true freshman. And then UGA wins Coach of the Year at 13-0. But again, I don't think UGA is going to be in the Natty mix. All right, so Terrell Rutledge almost 1,500 yards ahead of his next closest guy. Threw for 43 touchdowns. Who was even close? I don't think anybody else is going to be close because they don't have the playbook for it. You know what I mean? The next closest is 11 with that. Top rusher is going to be Tyrone Jackson out of South Carolina. Almost runs for 1,900, 9 touchdowns. Couldn't really find the end zone. But Travis Schultz and Jamal Guthrie didn't have trouble finding the end zone at all. 17 touchdowns apiece. Receiving-wise, Kevin Vance, 1,500 yards, 93 catches, 16 touchdowns. So he was just a complete total package. Also had a lot of yards per catch. Defensively, Lincoln Dunlap out of West Virginia, 122 tackles, led the nation. Your sack leader is going to be Anthony Logan with 14. Pick leader is John Pollard from LSU with 12. Redshirt sophomore. He can leave after this year and go to the draft. All right, boys. Natty will be North Texas versus Ohio State. Please don't let Ohio State win 6 in a row. Win 6 total. So if Ohio State wins this game, they'll win 2 in a row and 6 total, and then we won't have enough seasons left for anybody to catch them. Orange Bowl, Illinois, Virginia Tech. Texas Tech, Georgia in the Big 12 championship. Fiesta Bowl is going to be UNC and USC. Goddamn, I've been recording this for so long, my brain can't even fathom reading all the same things over and over. All right, boys. So as you guys probably all guessed, Ohio State wins another natty. Orange Bowl goes to the Fighting Illini. UGA wins the Sugar Bowl. Fiesta Bowl goes to UNC over USC. All right, boys, and I think for the first time in this sim, we have a non-Power 5 school as the #1 team in the nation. North Texas is preseason #1, receiving 38 votes. Wow. Got Ohio State, Utah, Virginia Tech, UTEP, North Carolina, Illinois, Georgia, Memphis, Maryland, SMU still up there, USC, BYU, LSU, Southern Miss, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Fresno State, Texas Tech, Michigan, Rice, Miami, Central Michigan, Notre Dame, UCLA. Now we got teams like Central Michigan coming out of nowhere. All right, boys, here we are in the season number 17. LSU's junior quarterback Rex Evans wins the Heisman, 3,500 yards, 28 touchdowns. Seems a little low from the things we've seen throughout this sim so far. North Texas came into this season as the #1 team in the nation, and they're going into the national championship as the #1 team in the nation. They will be taking on #2 Virginia Tech in the Natty Orange Bowl. UTEP versus Maryland. Damn, UTEP is really still good. Kansas State, Florida in the Sugar Bowl, Rose Bowl, USC, Illinois. Take a look at some of these other games here. Got some pretty decent games in the other New Year's bowls. As the MVP this season is going to be Terry Blankenship, running back from North Texas. Best quarterback Rex Evans. This really seems like a down year for quarterbacks. Terry Blankenship, best running back, best wide receiver Daryl Diller. I feel like he's won this before. I could be tripping. Nah, man, I feel like he won it, but it doesn't say that he did, so you know it is what it is. Best O-lineman is going to be Steve Humphrey from SMU. Randy Lawrence wins defensive MVP from Georgia. Lloyd Todd wins best D-lineman. Russell Colt wins best linebacker. So even though Randy Lawrence won defensive MVP, he doesn't win best linebacker. Thomas Livingston wins best DB out of Rice. Andy Hopkins, best kicker, USF. Ball State goes 11-1, and their coach wins Coach of the Year. All right, boys, they have done it. North Texas runs the table, goes 12-0, and they win the Natty. They beat Virginia Tech. What a season for North Texas. Those boys are the real deal. You can't even hide it. Coming down here, UTEP beat Maryland in the UTEP beat Maryland in the Orange Bowl. Kansas State lost to Florida in the Sugar Bowl. Illinois lost to USC in the Rose Bowl. All right, boys, start of season 18. Take a look at the preseason top 25. Your defending champs, North Texas, are #4, which means they might have lost quite a few people, you know what I mean, to the draft and to graduation and everything. Ohio State, Illinois, UTEP is up there. USC, Virginia Tech, LSU, Rice is back. BYU, Florida trying to be good again. UNC, Utah, Southern Miss, Maryland, Georgia, Middle Tennessee. UCLA, Central Michigan, Louisville, Troy is in the top 25. Oregon, Fresno State, Air Force, Michigan, Miami. So I dropped my controller, but Miami's Martin Orr wins the Heisman at wide receiver, 84 catches, 1,654 yards, 20 catches. He might be the only one or one of very few wide receivers to win this award throughout this whole entire sim. Our quarterback was right behind him, bro. So one of those two were going to win it. Orr wins the offensive MVP. Best quarterback goes to Will Golden from Miami. Best running back from TCU, Shane Roth. Best wide receiver, Martin Orr. Best O-lineman, Ryan White of Ohio. Kurt Marshall is the defensive MVP from Ohio State. Dante Davidson from UGA is the best D-lineman. Kurt Marshall from Ohio State, best linebacker. Best DB, Josh Pollard from LSU. Now, I'm for sure that he's won this award before, so I know that for a fact. Because, yeah, the year he had 12 picks, he won this award. Best kicker, Kevin Barlow from UConn. UGA also wins Coach of the Year. This season's Natty is going to be USC versus Ohio State. Ohio State looking for Natty #7 of the sim. Fiesta Bowl, Georgia, Texas. Orange Bowl, Florida, UNC. Rose Bowl, Miami, SMU. All right, boys, and they do it. Ohio State wins Natty #7, 32-22. Texas beats UGA in the Fiesta Bowl. Miami beats SMU in the Rose Bowl. No, SMU beats Miami in the Rose Bowl, excuse me. Florida loses to UNC in the Orange Bowl. And those are all of the BCS Bowls. All right, boys, we're going down the home stretch here. Second to last season, year number 19. What is the top 25 looking like? Virginia Tech, UTEP, Ohio State, Utah, USC, North Carolina, Southern Miss, Florida, Fresno State, SMU, Illinois, Maryland, BYU, Georgia, Bowling Green, Michigan, Notre Dame, UL Monroe, TCU, Miami, North Texas, Rice, Texas, Air Force, LSU. Here in week 19, you boys let me know down in the comment section below right now. Put year 19 champs and then the team you think is going to win. Year 19 champs, and then the team you think is going to win. All right, boys. So UGA senior running back Brian Tyler wins the Natty, wins the Heisman, 1,465 yards, 19 touchdowns. All right, boys. Here we are taking a look at the bowl games. Who are in the Natty? Ohio State, UTEP. UTEP is in the Natty, bro. Sugar Bowl, Virginia Tech, LSU. Fiesta Bowl, Maryland, Colorado. North Texas, Oregon in the Rose Bowl. I wonder what North Texas's record was. They were undefeated, like I thought. So was UTEP, so was Ohio State. Rice went 10-1. And the other undefeated squads, looks like everybody else had 1 to 2 losses. All right, so Brian Tyler won the Heisman. He also wins Offensive MVP. Best quarterback, Rod Jimenez from UTEP, 3,200 yards, 31 touchdowns. Brian Tyler was the best running back. Best wide receiver goes to Kyle Parrish. Makes sense. He had the best quarterback in the nation. Max Callahan wins best O-lineman. Defensive MVP goes to Ohio State's Kevin Golden. Best D lineman Jamal Tillman out of what is that school? You know, the other team. Kevin Golden, Ohio State. Ted Coors, best DB. Best kicker Cornelius Henderson. Bucks coach wins coach of the year for the first time in a minute, because last time they won it, I don't think they made the Natty, or maybe I'm confusing my schools, boys. We've been doing this for a long time today. All right, boys, and I just got to check. This is the 4th Natty for Ohio State in 5 years, bro. 4th Natty in 5 years for Ohio State, 7 total in 19 seasons. LSU loses the Sugar Bowl. Colorado loses the Fiesta Bowl. In the Rose Bowl, North Texas gets bumped off by Oregon. All right, boys, the time has come. Season number 20, the last season in this sim. From 2022, from 2002 to 2022, this is the season that we're currently in, you know, that started this week. Virginia Tech, Ohio State, UTEP, Southern Miss, Maryland, top 5 for the season. North Texas, Illinois, Rice, Georgia, SMU round out the top 10. Utah, North Carolina, USC, Central Michigan, Middle Tennessee State, UL Monroe, Colorado, New Mexico, Oregon, or UNLV, Fresno State, Texas, Air Force, BYU, Miami of Ohio is the rest of the top 25. I really don't know what teams are going to reign supreme in this one. You can see like Miami, they're just bees, even though they've been having some solid recruiting classes. Really, really anxious. You know, does OSU, does Ohio State like really assert their dominance and win the very last Natty of the sim? I mean, we're about to find out, right? All right, boys. So final season's Heisman winner is going to be Texas Tech's quarterback Aaron Mills, 4,800 passing yards, 35 touchdowns. We've seen this here before from this team. The last top 25 coaches poll: Ohio State, Maryland, Illinois, Southern Miss, UTEP, Utah, USC, Georgia, North Texas, Tennessee, Texas Tech, UNC, Notre Dame, Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, Virginia Tech, Louisville, LSU, Rice, New Mexico, Nebraska, UL Monroe, Troy, Air Force, and Duke. Wow. Bowl rankings, you got Ohio State and Maryland. So back then, this wasn't a all Big Ten national championship. It was ACC versus Big Ten. Illinois misses out, even though they're undefeated. Southern Miss misses out with 1 loss. And a couple of one or two loss teams all under that. Bowl games. In the Rose Bowl, we got Ohio State, Maryland for the Natty. Ohio State's probably going to win their 3rd in a row. And this would be their 5th in 6 years if they win this one. Orange Bowl, Illinois, Pitt, Sugar Bowl, SC, LSU, Fiesta Bowl, Texas Tech, Southern Miss. Final season awards: Aaron Mills won the Heisman. Offensive MVP, Aaron Mills. Best quarterback, Aaron Mills. Best running back, Ty Allen of Rice. Rod Carter, best wide receiver, Miami of Ohio. Best O-lineman, Brian Franks from Rice. Defensive MVP, Raymond Hess from TCU. Texas Tech, Cameron Bailey, best D lineman. Washington, Orlando Cantrell, best linebacker. Zach Livingston, North Texas, best DB. I feel like he's won that before too. Maybe I'm tripping. Best kicker is going to be Middle Tennessee State's Jermaine Johnson. Coach of the year is going to be Bowling Green. He goes 12-1, but he's not going to make the Natty. All right, so as per usual, you know what I mean, the Texas Tech quarterback has way more yards than everybody else. 4,800, and the next closest is 3,500. Most touchdown passes in the nation also goes to Aaron Mills. There's some other guys in the 30 club as well. Rushing wise, Ty Allen runs for 1,800 yards. Next closest is 1,500 on the dot right after him. You know, so pretty for the most part, 12 to 1,300 yards was like the max. 1,500 was an unbelievable season, but that 1,839 was just unreal. 17 touchdowns on the ground for Navy's Wesley Brown, who ran for 1,200 yards, 4.5 yards a carry. Desmond Peterson with 14, and it's a bunch of dudes tied with 13. Receiving wise, Terrell Wiggins from Hawaii catches 91 balls. 1,400 yards receiving for Luis Sanchez from Texas Tech on 81 catches. Ken Henson from Texas, 19 yards per catch. Philip Odom from UNC has the most receiving touchdowns, tied with Rod Carter from Miami of Ohio. Defensively, Orlando Cantrell, 140 tackles, 22 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. Sack leader is going to be Cameron Bailey with 18 from Texas Tech. Brett Mosey with 14. Pick leader Tom Hammond from Cal with 10. All right, boys. So here in the last season of the sim, Ohio State wins yet another natty. 7 total. 5 and 6 years. 7 total, 5 and 6 years, bro. All right, boys. Future USR here, and I just recounted. I wanted to set the record straight that Ohio State won a total of 9 national championships. They won like 7 in the last like 10 years or something like that. Something insane, because they had a 2-peat, then they had a 3-peat, then they lost one, and then they won like another 2 or 3 in a row. Absolutely dominant performance. I just wanted to clear that up. Back to the rest of the video. Pure dominance. Illinois beat Pitt. USC lost they lost to LSU, and Southern Miss beat Texas Tech by 10. All right, boys, so here's a list of your natty winners here in this sim. Florida won year 1. Florida State won year 2. Ohio State won year 3. Tennessee won year 4. Ohio State won again in year 5. Kansas State won in year 6. Ohio State won again in year 7. Year 8 goes to Virginia Tech. Year 9 goes to the U, Miami. Rice wins year 10. Texas wins year 11. Ohio State wins year 12. SMU wins year 13. USC wins year 14. Ohio State wins year 15 and 16. North Texas wins year 17. And then Ohio State wins 3 straight in year 18, 19, and 20. So it's safe to say Ohio State became a dynasty. We already know they're a perennial power, a big school, and blah, blah, blah. But they became this Sim's Alabama, bro, because they were in the natty a lot, and then they won the natty a lot, rattling off 3 in a row, and they also had a 2-peat. So they had a 3-peat and a 2-peat. If North Texas didn't sneak that one natty in there, they would have won 6 natties in a row, bro. Absolutely insane. Here's the final top 25 as well. Ohio State, Illinois, Southern Miss, Maryland, UTEP, Georgia, North Texas, North Carolina, USC, Notre Dame, Utah, Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, Virginia Tech, LSU, Texas Tech, Tennessee, Rice, Colorado, Troy, Fresno State, Louisville, Texas, TCU, and Boston College. Boys, this was extremely fun to do. I look forward to doing more of these. Hopefully you guys are excited for more of the same. You guys want to see more of the same. And, you know, maybe one of these years we pick, Alabama can actually make something shake. I don't think they've won over 5 games this whole entire sim. Was absolutely crazy. They were just historically bad throughout this whole entire 20-year period. I thought they would be able to shake back, but you know, this history being rewritten had other plans, and we got what we got, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, stop and smash that like button. Hit me up in the comment section below. Subscribe if you're new. It's your boy UncleSamsReject, arcadegames.com. I'm out of here. Peace.
Niggas want me to lose, but I can't. I've been stacking this shit to the ceiling. Know some niggas with bodies, and it ain't no probably. We never speak on them killers. Everybody on my block gon' get them some money. It's only a couple of drillers. I've been fucking them hoes, man. Them bitches ain't nobody.